as an employer when he's giving a job interview.
Yeah.
He asks the candidate, he says, what important truth do you have that very few people agree with you on? So
what would be...
I was going to ask you that, Raj.
Oh.
So one view that I have that's kind of controversial.
Right.
Is, how people will say, oh, this person manipulated me.
Right.
I feel like, as an individual, I think I'm responsible to try to make it so I'm not manipulated.
Right.
Because I really think you could just say, oh, well, I wasn't manipulated to do this. It's kind of like getting out of your, what is it called? Your personal responsibility.
Yeah.
The truth is, I mean, a lot of times people aren't that hard to read. I feel like a lot of times people say what they mean.
Well, I get, that makes sense, but I feel like there's distractions, such as a relationship, for example.
Mm-hmm.
You get distracted by you falling in love with them.
Right. I mean,
so then you
said it right there. You get distracted.
And that's on you.
Yeah.
So, okay. I mean, all of these points are going to be controversial.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
that's why, because the majority of people don't agree with it.
So in terms of manipulation, let's say, here's the reason why it's on the individual being manipulated, to try to not be manipulated. I mean, it sounds silly, but not everyone is going to fall for the same manipulation tactic, right?
Right.
If everyone fell for the same manipulation tactic, then no one would be responsible for avoiding it because it'd be impossible.
Right.
But if it's possible for someone to say, oh, I think that person's being manipulative, he's showing, aggressive behavior.
Mm-hmm.
If that's possible, then, well, it's up to the individual, I feel, to detect it.
But wouldn't that be based on someone's, emotional intelligence to figure out someone... Well, someone could be manipulative, but also be secretive at the same time. Not show their true emotions right away.
Sure, it's possible. But I still don't believe that you could say, well, this person's actions caused me to do this.
Right. So, I mean, I guess that goes back to the last podcast where we talked about victimhood.
Mm-hmm. My dad always told me, never be the victim.
Really?
Yeah. Because the moment you believe you're the victim, well, you are.
Yeah. And then there's no... It's really hard to come back from there. Then you're just label yourself as the victim. You gotta label yourself as...
the champion, the underdog, Rocky.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so I guess I'll ask you, what's the truth that you have that very few people agree with you on?
Right. I think hard work doesn't always equal success. And that's something that I feel like it's... this is actually kind of opposite of what you were saying. Instead of taking... I mean, I guess it's also responsibility, but it's like, as much as you work hard and everything, there's always going to be someone that's more successful than you. I think aiming for wealth, popularity, or anything like that, it just doesn't make any sense. There's so many people that can know you that it's almost impossible. It's impossible for everyone to know you because as soon next minute there's people being born. So that's impossible to be to gain the most popularity, right?
Yeah.
To attain the most wealth is also impossible. Just doesn't make any sense. So that means since there isn't a limit to it or anything like that, it's just trying to value those things in life. It's meaningless.
I mean, I agree with you. I have a pretty good example to back you up. I mean, let's think of Vincent van Gogh.
Yeah.
He definitely worked very hard on his paintings.
Yeah.
And I think he sold one painting in his entire life.
Right. Yeah, he never made... Didn't he get an infection or something like that from paint or something?
He got... I don't know, but...
Something happened to his ear, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, something did happen to his ear. He might have cut part of it off.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, that's besides the point. I feel like...
He was innovative, Now we look at his paintings and say, oh, wow, they're fantastic.
What a great painter.
But he didn't have success.
Any of that.
No.
He didn't attain any of that. So that's why I think it's hard work doesn't equal success because it depends on so many variables that you cannot even imagine.
Well, I don't know.
It's just based on so many things you can't just just can't imagine it. So it's impossible. But that's not to say that not to try.
Well, Raj,
not to. I think that instead of aiming for those things, you should find, success in something else. Instead of measuring success between wealth and popularity, I think you should measure success on how happy you are. There's so many variables in life that literally it could come down to anything, whether you're successful or not. It's literally on the basis of luck. That's just how I feel. I feel like that's just why
you're right.
I feel like it's a point where it's like, but that may be bad in an interview for saying, "Oh, hard work." But like, I feel like it's kind of like investing. Although anything can happen, you can, try to limit yourself from losing too much, or give yourself hope to attaining what you want.
Yeah, and even in investing, they say, you could be right about a stock, but the general market's saying no. And, maybe years later they finally say, oh, Raj was right about the valuation.
Yeah.
But you've lost so much money since then.
At that point, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense. I don't know. I like your belief more. I think I
about manipulation.
Yeah, no, yeah. I believe in self-responsibility. But also, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about my point.
No, you're completely right. I just think, you believe it, but you obviously do still go out. You try your best.
Exactly. That's why it's kind of weird that I believe it, but at the same time, I work really hard. I'm up all the time at night studying and working hard. But
you don't that doesn't mean you don't expect.
I don't expect to be successful. I don't expect anything.